Fight fans, welcome back to Carl Cruz MMA. Today I'm with top heavyweight prospect. He's getting ready. Big Fury FC 117 fight in March. He's taking out Jamahl Tatum. He is Mr. Anthony Wint. Anthony, what's up, my friend? How are you?
What's going on, man? I'm great. I'm happy to be on the show. Man, happy to be alive, man. Happy to get to talking to you, man.
Absolutely, man. Really appreciate it once again. Been awesome watching you so far on the regional scene, brother. Every time you go out there, man, you're looking for the finish. You got these crazy, serious hands. You're a very well-rounded mixed martial artist. For you, how much pride do you take in that style of always looking for the kill and trying to finish your guy as quick as possible?
Man, if I'm being completely honest, it's something I've kind of just gotten into. I was talking with Alex, who we both know, just about the mentality of a fighter. And obviously, me coming from my football background, I'm a little bit more of a competitor, not so much of a killer as I'll label it, which I train with a bunch of killers who go in there like ready to knock somebody's head off. I came in with a little bit more of a demeanor, a little bit more of a nice dude, which doesn't really last long in MMA. But over, trials, tribulations, just going through the muck of preparing to be a fighter, I say my third fight when I really got into it was like, okay, man, you gotta go in there, you can't play any games. So my third fight was a split decision. That kind of was a wake up call for me. And then that fourth fight, I got a third round knockout. And obviously that fifth round going into the fight with Miles, I kind of already knew going in there I didn't want to play any game. So got it done in 30 seconds, and we're looking to repeat that hopefully every fight.
For you, do you feel that fighting is more mental than it is physical?
A lot more mental than physical. Obviously, it's a lot of physicality. I think I match up really well against a lot of people. I'm big, strong, athletic, but I mean, if I was a pussycat and didn't want to fight and didn't want to hurt people like I was before, it's hard to knock people out when you're not looking to knock people out. I think people go in there, and this is not me patting myself on my own back. They go in there scared of me already. They already go in there looking at the muscles, looking at the mentality, looking at me as a big person. And if I prove to them otherwise within that first minute, it gives them a little bit of confidence. And same thing, if I go in there with confidence, knowing that I'm better than any guy, that I can knock any dude out, my brain doesn't know any different. So I just got to go in there knowing that I'm the man and wait for somebody to prove me otherwise.
You know, you've had quite the journey in professional sports. Obviously, before this, NFL had a stint in there, made that transition to martial arts. What made you want to come down this path?
Short story made long. Obviously you mentioned the NFL. I was signed to an agency. You're big in MMA, so first round management with Malcolm and Abe. They managed. I remember walking up to their office for a football interview. They were going to manage me for football, which they did. And they used to have an office where it was stairs, and there was a big fat picture of John Jones. And I'm looking like, I'm like, John Jones? He's like, I manage John Jones. So long story short, I get cut from the Jets. We signed to the Canadian football team, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And as I'm signing the paper, he's like, yo, you can do this, or we can get you into an MMA gym. You can start fighting. And I said no a bunch of times. And the last straw for me was COVID because then the Canadian Football League didn't have a season. And I was like, you know what? I'm just try it out. Tried it out. I've always been a really good grappler. I wrestled since I was 9 years old. I was a state runner up. So on the grappling side, I was worlds above most people from day one. But then obviously me getting into striking, a lot of people just influenced me to say, hey, you can be really good at this. And here we are, 8 fights later, 5-0, 3-0 as an amateur, and who would have called it?
You know, so many people are watching martial arts right now. I think it's as big as it's ever been. It's only going to get bigger and bigger. A lot of casual fans, man, they look at the big names, they see the fame, the glory, the fortune, the girls. When you're on the regional scene, man, you're not making Conor McGregor money. You're
Mm.
waking up early. You're staying up late. You're grinding every single day, maybe, to get to one of the big shows. You've been doing this for a while, man. You sacrifice every single day. What's made you want to stick with this?
Man, if I had to make it short, I really truly feel like God's called me to do this. I prayed a lot before I made that decision to get into MMA. And just looking at the path, I think everybody, obviously, when I play football, there's a lot of notoriety that comes with it. A lot of people know you make money, even if you're not making the top dollars or you don't have a $10 million contract. I was making six figures on the practice squad, so that's no chump change. Having that journey and knowing how people look at football players, people look at fighters even higher, even if you aren't making money. An NFL player looks at a fighter and says, "Man, you the man," because they know how much mental strength it takes to get in there and to fight someone, and the potential of being knocked out, being hurt, and being embarrassed. So one, I know God called me to do this because He wants me on the stage to glorify His name. And then other than that, what motivates me now is the journey I've been through. It's almost like when I first started, I got into my first fight. I took my first amateur fight within 2-3 months because I was like, man, if this is what it is, and guys really told me to do this, I'm gonna win this fight. I went against a 3-0 dude who I literally saw him knock somebody out like 3 months prior. And I was like, man, I'm not scared to do this. And I ended up beating him. I ended up beating him in the third round. Well, I ended up knocking him out in the third round. And from there, every step it was like, God, like, man, you're gonna keep obeying and I'm gonna keep blessing you. So just the blessings that come with it and knowing that God's gonna glorify himself and myself, my family, and my legacy through this path I'm going through.
You know, you train one of the biggest gyms in the world down there in South Florida and Kill Cliff. Obviously, so many great guys out there. One of your training partners, one of the best middleweights in the world, and Impa Kasanage. Obviously, you have Robbie Lawler out there, head coach. Usman comes in there, him and his brother, Luke, RDR, Bisinger. There's so many great names, man. What's it like to be in that environment?
Man, it's something I've dreamed about. I'm a big analyzer. I analyze myself, and I've dissected the sport of MMA just like I would a football play or a football team. And MMA is super hard, especially because I fight at heavyweight, or even I'm a true middle. I mean, not middleweight, but a 205er. It's hard to find good big guys anywhere. So I started off at MMA Masters, and it was good there. But the biggest guy we had was Miguel Baeza, who's really really good. His last 4 fights he was 0-4. A lot of split decisions, but one of the best dudes I've ever trained with. But he's not big enough to really challenge me because, like we talked about, MMA is a lot more mental than it is physical. So I can learn all the technical stuff in the world, but if I'm not getting pushed in my training, I'm not gonna be able to fight when it's time to fight. So I came across Impo on Instagram. He was signed the first round. Obviously, I saw a lot of Dieter, so I hit Dieter up. I was like, hey, I want to train. He was like, hey, they had a gym in Miami at the point. He was like, hey, you can train here, but you really need to come to Kill Cliff if you want to be serious. So I drive from Homestead to Kill Cliff, which is about 75 miles. If I leave at 5 a.m., it's an hour 10, 5 days a week. And I do that because of the guy you named. I mean, Impa, Dieter, Robbie, the Burns brothers, RDRs kind of joined the team. And it's a bunch, and really got a lot of middleweights, which obviously, like, it's not my weight class, but it's the perfect weight class for me because they're super fast, but they're also strong enough to hurt me. So we probably got the best gym in the world for middleweights. You know, top guys, PFL, UFC, and man, I'm constantly getting pushed there, constantly learning, constantly refining, and I see myself getting better. And then you have the confirmation of those guys telling you like, hey, you got what it takes. So it's definitely worth the drive, worth the gas, and worth me tearing up my car.
So in 2023, you almost were going to fight in the PFL. What all
Mhm.
happened there?
Long story. So another situation where I kind of leaned on God and was like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. I was one of those a pro. PFL reached out to me, said, hey, we got a fight for you. It's against Abraham Babley, who I believe he just won their PFL Africa tournament. So I think he's like 8-2 now. Really good dude, really strong, decent wrestler, really good striking, more experience than me at that point. And I was like, I've never myself turned down a fight. Obviously, with coaches and management, they tell you like, hey, this isn't for you or whatever. I was at MMA Masters. They hit me up like, hey, they offered you a fight. We said no because we don't think, in the best terms, they obviously their first language is Portuguese. They was like, we don't think it's time yet. You should develop a little bit more. I ended up talking to our jiu-jitsu coach at the time because he understands how well I can grapple. And with grappling, I feel like I can hang with anybody. And he was like, I think you can beat the dude. So we ended up reaching back out to him and said, hey, give me a 1-on-1 because I wanted to be in the UFC. Give me a 1-on-1, don't lock me into a tournament contract, and I'll fight this dude. And they gave it to me because I understood that I was the B side. A week before the fight, I ended up getting stabbed on my leg, had to get surgery. A whole line of things happened after that. I had to take 6 months out of training, but so many things happen when you go through trials. I ended up leaving MMA Masters just because of all that what happened there, and that kind of started me going to Kill Cliff. So I think God protects me in a lot of ways. If I'm being honest, I probably would have lost that fight because I wasn't as good as I am now. Not, and I wouldn't have lost it because I didn't want to fight. It's just because he was better at the point. And I think that's what makes me dangerous in MMA, and it makes me dangerous for myself too because I'm always ready to take a fight, but I also understand the risk and reward and my strong suit and their strong suits. I was gonna go in there, push his cardio, make him wrestle a little bit. But at the end of the day, he was a big dude who understood who I was. So I think at the end of the day, that was God protecting me from losing because God wants me to be on the high stage.
Absolutely. So you're making your return to Fury, one of the
Mhm.
biggest regional promotions in the world right now, taking on Jamahl Tatum, a guy we've seen him do a little game bred, mixed martial arts. We also seen him do some gloved MMA. But overall, what do you think of him as an opponent here?
I think of him as much as I think of pretty much every heavyweight. They're gonna be big. They hit hard. Man, he's gonna be a lot bigger than me. So if I let him get a hold of me, it's gonna be a long night. I can't let him get on top of me. And then obviously he's gonna be a lot bigger, maybe a little bit longer, a little bit taller than me. So his hands gonna more likely gonna be a little heavier. But other than that, the game plan's always the same. So I'm never afraid to say it. I gotta come in super conditioned. I gotta come in with good footwork. I gotta come in knowing that I'm faster than them. And at the end of the day, it's a fight. So worst case for there with me if he comes out and wants to brawl, because obviously I'm a little bit smaller, but my hands are quicker, my hands are sharper. Um, is he the best guy I've ever fought? If I'm being honest, no. But he is a very solid opponent. He's been in some high level fights. He's fought some good dudes, and his two losses are against two really good dudes. Um, um, I'm ready for a fight, man. And the good thing is I'm as motivated as I've ever been. Going into the fight Jamal, that was the first time where I really wanted to win a fight. And I've said this to people multiple times, like, how do you get in the fighting? How are you undefeated if you don't want to win? I think it's different between going in there ready to compete, going there willing to win, but it's the difference between going there like, hey, I cannot lose this fight. This is the first fight where I'm going in where it's like I'm training not to lose. I'm going there to dominate. I'm going there to put on the show because I know that next step is around the corner.
Obviously, this is a 5 round title fight here, but would you be surprised if all 5 rounds are needed?
That's probably not gonna happen. If that happens, either I'm super out of shape and he's super out of shape, and we're just standing there looking at each other, and that's definitely not what fans want. I'm assuming it doesn't go past 3 rounds, but then again, I can't predict. I don't want to sit here and give stuff away because I like to study, and I've watched every one single one of Jamal's interviews. I've watched every single one of Miles's. When I was about to fight Abraham, I watched every single one of his interviews. So I don't want to sit here and tell him myself because there's a guy I'm going to fight 2-3 months from now, 2-3 years from now. It's going to look at this like, okay, this is the way he thinks. But I have mapped out every single scenario in my head, and there's not a scenario that goes past 3 rounds outside of me being out of shape. So he's a big dude. He's not, and he. I don't think he can last more than 3 rounds. So it doesn't probably go past more than two.
You mentioned maybe after this fight, next level with a big win here, you'll be 6-0. We're almost in March. Come August, there's a show called the Dana White Contender Series. Will we be lying if we haven't thought about this?
Oh no, we've definitely thought about it. After I knocked out Miles, man, the announcer came up to me. He said, "Hey, the promoters want you to call your shot." So I was thinking we're good after that, especially after. And that's one thing I've gotten better and better on the mic as my career is going forward. Not that I'm some Conor McGregor or whoever else, but I think the more you own up to the authority you have, that you're that dude, you get better and better. That's what the UFC wants. They want knockouts. They want a guy who could be good on the mic. They want someone who could be marketable. And I feel like I can be that. I think the heavyweight division needs guys like me. I feel like I can be versatile as far as like dropping down 205 if I need, and being a short notice guy to fight at any point because I'm always in shape, always ready to fight. But at the end of the day, if I don't take care of business on March 15th, we can go ahead and throw all that stuff away. So it's worrying about Jamal, but it's also worrying about the contender series. I'm super excited for that too because I'm fighting on Tuesday. I'm fighting on the biggest stage. I'm fighting in front of the bosses, and I'm fighting on Paramount with the new deal they just got. So man, it's about the money. It's about advancing my family. It's about legacy, but it's also about glorifying God, and that's the highest stage I will have been on. So we've definitely thought about it, but we got to take care of business with Jamal because we can't just get a win. We got to make sure that we pull on the show.
There's a heavyweight right now who's kind of got a similar background as you, Mr. Josh Hokich. Obviously,
Mhm.
was in the NFL, went to the Contender Series, now 2-0, about to fight Curtis Blades. Could you see a rise like that for yourself?
Oh wow, he's about. I didn't know he was going to fight Curtis Blade. That's a big.
Yeah,
That's a big jump. They just announced it.
just announced it yesterday.
That's a big jump for him. Me and Josh, similar in a lot of ways, played in the NFL. I think he played for the 49ers. Super athletic guy. I think I'm a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. That's the best way to put it. He's a little bit more rough around the edges, but super athletic. Like I said, I study everybody. There's not a there's pretty much no heavyweights you can name that I haven't really looked at in depth. And if I'm being honest, they offered me Josh on LFA right before I got with Dieter. And I was already in talks with Dieter, and I gave it to him. And he was like, "We should probably wait." And like I said, I'm never the type where I'm going to deny a fight because a fight's a fight at the end of the day, anyways. He was a lot worse than he is now. I was a lot worse than I am now. But if we're looking at it, I would probably been a 60-40 underdog. With that being said, there's a gambling for everybody. And to answer your question, I think me and Josh have very very similar styles. I think he's a little bit more of a wrestler first guy, but he's a guy with a bunch of charisma. Obviously, he has the little thing he does with the interviews now, and he's a guy with a bunch of confidence. He knows who he is. He knows how he needs to fight. He knows how he needs to win. And God willing, if I get there, I think he'll be a great opponent. Kind of test myself. So I think we have a lot of similarities, and he's a guy I think about when I get there because the heavyweight division is so shallow that that could be 4 or 5 fights from now easily, even maybe even less.
There's so many fans who are watching this now. We have a term called the casual fan, and I think every fan is good for the sport. But sometimes if you're at B-dubs, you're at the bar, you might hear twist them in the you-know-what. You hear some crazy stuff. You read some crazy stuff. Overall, when you're looking at social media, when you're at the fights, and you hear some of these crazy comments from the casuals, how do you take it? Do you laugh at it? Do you think it's just a good part of the sport?
Man, I was always taught, man, everybody has to do their job. I don't have a job if the fans don't are not entertained, if they don't do what they don't do their antics. I can't control the fans, man. And I want them to have fun. I think fighting is a very interesting sport. I think it's one of the most primal things you can do. And not a lot of people can do it. Just like when I play football, there's only a small percentage of the world that can play football. But there's a whole lot of people who think they understand football. They don't. I don't understand basketball to the extent that a NBA player would. So I'm not here to figure out what the fans like or want. But I will tell you one thing. After my last fight, I don't know if you saw it, I kind of pushed the ref off of me. And that was my first taste of having both sides. Like, obviously, all the people who love me were like, oh, you knocked him out. I don't know what you was doing with the ref, but, cutting his head off or whatever. But I had about, I kid you not, probably like 40 DMs of people telling me you're unsportsmanlike. You shouldn't have did that. How could you? They should never let you fight again, but not really knowing where it was coming from. And to be short, obviously, with David and Goliath kind of took his sword out, with David's sword out, and cut his head off. And going into that fight, that was a lot of buildup for me. Like, I was reading that book a lot, and when I knocked him out, I was like, no, that's something I need to do. So the ref was kind of like holding me back from completing the mission. So nothing against the ref. I mean, I'm looking forward to going back to Houston, and hopefully I run into Dr. Solis. I think that was his name, so I can officially apologize to him. But man, the fans are crazy, and I don't get paid without them.
I think for the most part, fans are starting to understand what fighters do. Obviously, trying to get into the UFC, trying to win fights, get bigger fights with belts, all that stuff. But very few people understand the fight outside of the fight in martial arts. And to me, that's that fight not to have clocking at 9 o'clock in the morning, clock out at 5 o'clock. That's the fight to secure financial freedom. That's the fight to live life on your own terms, not follow societal norms, create an audience, create a message, and live the life that you want. For you, has this been a big part of the journey?
It's been a huge part of the journey, man, and it seems like it's never ending, man. I personally wake up at 4:30 every day. Outside of Sunday, which I work at 7, and I'm training every single day. I wake up at 4:30. I usually run in the morning, and I drive up to Kill Cliff. I got a 7 a.m. most days, and then I do a 9:30 with everybody else, and then I drive directly to FIU, which I just got off work right now, filing some paperwork. And I work from 5. Well, not 5. I usually work from 12:30 to about 6, and then I get my lift in after that. So I have no life. And that's when we talk about motivation. That's what motivates me, because it's like, if you allow someone who isn't working as hard as you, has not put in as much work as you, has not invested as much as you, to somehow beat you, what was all this for? What was all these early nights, late mornings for? I mean, early mornings, late nights for? What was you sacrificing time with your family? What was the brain damage? Even if I get hit once, if I was supposed to live to be 99, I'm gonna live to be 95 now. And I've gotten hit decently a couple of times. So I'm taking off years off my life. I'm sacrificing time with my family. I'm I'm sacrificing some money, because right now I'm in the red. So it's like, if you're doing all that, you might as well get your reward. And I'm almost positive that if I stay down the path I'm at, all of it will be worth it. So it's something not a lot of people go through, but I'm a big advocate for people investing into themselves, because just like you invested to this podcast, someone may be a bus driver, or they might work on the train, or they might have some type of trade. It might be an HVAC. Whatever sacrifice you have to do the same thing in whatever career you have. Just like I'm fighting in the flesh and fighting people, you got to fight whatever temptation or distractions going on in your life, because the more you invest, the more reward you're gonna get as well.
Absolutely. For you, what's the ultimate goal? What do you accomplish in the sport?
I honestly believe I can be a world champion. Um, I think I have the skill set, the mindset. I feel like I have the trajectory. I feel like I'm at the weight class. I have the wrestling, and I think that's a big component. It just all comes down to me peaking at the right times. Not only in this fight, but in my career. I'm 30 years old now, and as you know, I'm pretty much in my prime, and I've been stronger. I've been faster. I've had less injuries. But the thing about fighting is all about one fight. It's about one round at a time. And if I think I take it one round at a time, I think about it, reinvest, because when I make this money from this fight, when I get in the UFC, now the work really begins. People kind of like, oh, I'm here, I made it. No, now I got to take 80% of the money I just made and put it into nutrition, put into training, put it into focusing, maybe quitting my job so I can fight full time. And feel like if I do all those things, I take the right risks. I can be in a world championship fight within the next 3 to 4 years, fighting for a belt. And then obviously to be great, to be one of the best in the world, you got to win more than one belt. So I think I can go down to 205. And if they pay me enough money, I'll cut my leg off and fight at 85. So that's my ultimate goal, to be one of the best to ever do it. But like I said, not for myself, man, so I can glorify God, because he's done so much in my life, man. He's the one who pushed me to do this. And if I'm being honest, I still pray every day that he create some type of avenue so I can have this financial freedom without risking my life. But I'm so grateful that he's chosen me to do this, because this is the stuff they're going to talk about, not about me, but about the anointing God's put on me 100 years from now, when they ask, okay, what does his name Went mean? I grew up without a father. I grew up without much identity. And my children's children will have more than I had because of the sacrifice I make today. So that's what motivates me, and that's my ultimate goal. But through becoming a world champion, I think that becomes more of a reality.
Are you looking at this next bout as your last one on the regional scene?
If I'm being honest, it depends on when the contender series is and if they give me a short notice. Because I've never been a fan of waiting. I think the more you're in the ring, the better you get. Obviously, there's the risk and reward with that. And at the end of the day, we got to fight Jamahl Tatum and beat him first. But if we can knock him out and they give me, obviously, and the UFC wants to build me and they give me a good fight after that, I'll take it. If they say, hey, we kind of just want you to wait for the contender series and have to wait till September. I've heard talks about with Paramount, it's going to be in May. I'm not 100% sure. So they may move it up. May or June. If they move it up, then I'll wait. But if it's September, I'll ask Fury for another fight, or I may, go some. I don't want to say that, but I may go somewhere else where I can fight and maybe fight a little closer, because I've never been a fan of waiting. I knocked out Miles Banks in November, and I wish I could have been on the first card in January, just because there's so many things happening in camp, and training does not bring me money. I lose money driving up every day, wasting money on my car, doing this, doing that, paying trainers, paying for my body, or whatever. I'd rather just get in there, fight, not for the money, but just for the advancement, because the more I win, the more my stock goes up. So when we get this knockout, it all depends on what my agent's talking about and if we can get a fight in the UFC before June, July. If not, we'll fight again.
Absolutely. All right, last question for you, Anthony. In a perfect world, what is the outcome March 15th when you make your return to Theory, when you headline Theory FC 117 against Jamahl Tatum?
In the perfect world, man, I go out there with the best walkout song they've ever heard. It's my first main event. They announce my name. I get in the cage. The ref says, all right, let's do it. And then within a minute, Jamahl Tatum was laying face flat. All respect to him, man. I think it takes a lot to get in the cage. So no malice, nothing like that, man. But I've fully walked into who God called me to be. And I don't think it gets past the first round. Obviously, he's a man as well. He's super big. I got to go in there prepared. But I think I'm too quick for him. I think I'm way too quick for him. I think my trainers have put too much into me. So I think I knock him out or submit him. I don't think his grappling's that good either within the first round.
Absolutely. Well, Anthony, man, thank you so much for chopping up with me. I can't wait for this fight, and I wish you nothing but the best, brother.
God bless you, man.
Absolutely. That's it for us today. I'm Carl Peruzza. He is Mr. Anthony Wint. You could watch him headlining Fury FC 117 March 15th. Looking for a big win against Jamahl Tatum. Take care, fight fans.
Yes, sir.